Yo boys, what's going on? This is Indy. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up your key bindings as a healer. I hope you guys find this guide helpful. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up, and I hope you enjoy it. Now guys, making a key binding guide was a rough decision for me to make because, to be honest with you guys, there's no truly correct way to keybind. It's all 110% personal preference, and just what's easiest for you. I can give you some pointers as to why I keybind the way I do, and maybe you can create your own style of playing based off the tips that I give you and the reasons that I give you. Now guys, one important thing for you guys to realize before we jump further into this guide is that I play World of Warcraft with a Logitech G600 gaming mouse and a Razer Arctosa keyboard, so some of my key bindings may seem a little strange and a little off, and they might not be comfortable for you to hit if you try to copy some of them, so you need to keep that in mind. So let's start by hitting escape and opening up the key bindings interface. So first things first, I want you to notice that I removed the key binds for keyboard turning and rebound A and D to strafing left and right. This actually clears up Q and E to be used for abilities, and it gives you 2 extra key binds. Also notice that I unbound S from moving backward, and I actually get to use S for another ability, and it clears up another keybind, because you're never going to really want to backpedal anyway. I also have changed sit from X to Shift X and sheath and unsheath weapons from Z to Shift Z. I actually could unbind these altogether because they're not really important, but I kind of like to have them bound just for personal preference. Okay guys, we're going to skip over chat because that doesn't really matter for PvP, but we're going to jump into the action bar key bindings now. This is the first action bar at the bottom left of your screen where you see all of my main heals and Aura Mastery and Sacred Shield and everything. You will see that I didn't really change much in the first 8 abilities, except I did add an alternate keybind to them, and those are the number pad key bindings. These number pad key bindings correlate with my Logitech G600 mouse. This means that I can hit the keyboard 1 through 8 and still hit the same buttons as if I were to hit my Logitech G600 1 through 8. So it lets me alternate between keyboard and mouse play depending on how I feel. It's really a personal preference situation over here. Z is the key that I use for interrupts. It's super easy to hit, being as it's right under my left ring finger. And the home and arrow key bindings may seem a little weird, but they're really not that weird because all they are shift modifiers on my Logitech gaming mouse. Home is shift number pad 7, left arrow is shift number pad 4, and down arrow is shift number pad 2. I like to use these for offensive healing cooldowns like wings or healing tide totem. The rest of the action buttons down here on this tab really focus on pet classes, not so much on healers, so I can cover that in another video, but not right now. The next tab is the multi-action bar, and the multi-action bars are the action bars that are not your main action bar. So the one over here at the top left, right above your main one, the one at the top right, and then the 2 action bars at the right are all covered in the multi-action bar tab. One thing I want you guys to take note of is the 2 action bars on the right, I don't really use much for combat besides buffing. The number pad dash, which actually translates to G19 on the G600 or 11 on the Razer Naga, is what I use for my main buff. Usually my seal, or if I'm on a druid, Mark of the Wild, or something like that. And number pad plus is 12 on the Naga and G20 on the G600. And I use that for Blessing of Might and any other extra buffs that a class might have. All the other key bindings here are mostly just for non-PvP situations, like shift spacebar is my ground mount, control spacebar is my flying mount, and all of the other things that don't matter too much in PvP. Now, the 2 action bars at the bottom of your screen, right above your main action bar, are where I keep most of my abilities that are not my main heals. It's mostly CCs and short cooldowns. I don't really have a serious structure as to how I've set up my key bindings, but you do notice that I have some grouped abilities and I have grouped some key bindings together as well. For example, on my Paladin, I've placed all of my hand buffs right next to each other so I can check them all at once by just one glance. If I need to see if Hand of Protection is on cooldown, instead of checking over at the top right and then checking for Hand of Freedom right after, that would take 2 glances. If they're grouped together, all I have to do is look down, I can see all 3 at once, and then I can get back into the fight and have better awareness. Similarly to adding abilities next to each other for quick checking of cooldowns, you may also want to double up on abilities on your action bars that you want to keep track of. For example, I have a macro for Hammer of Justice right here on my T key, and then right next to it I also bound it to Shift T. I have another duplicate of a non-macroed version of the stun, so this way if I need to see the cooldown, I'm guaranteed not to miss it because I will see two key bindings both ticking down the same cooldown. It's a lot easier to keep track of, so it's a really good strategy to just put multiples of the same ability on your action bar if you need to keep track of that cooldown better. Speaking of multiple abilities on your action bars, say that you get a new ability that you're not used to playing with, such as for me on my Paladin, Holy Avenger wasn't really that good in Mists of Pandaria, but now in Warlords of Draenor it's pretty much the best spec for Pallies at level 75. I haven't played with Holy Avenger that much, so I'm not really used to having it on a specific keybind. So what I've done was, I've taken Holy Avenger, and I've bound it to multiple keybinds, until I find which one I feel fits it most. I also have added it to the keybinds that I used to have older cooldowns on, that have now been removed. So it's going to feel more natural to hit these buttons for cooldowns. And that's pretty much all that there is to keybinding. You really have to find your own style as to what specific abilities you want to use. Some other tips that I can tell you are, if you're moving with WASD or similar keys, you can keybind abilities to the surrounding keys, and that's probably the best thing that you're going to want to do. For example, I move with WAND, so I have keybound abilities to Q, E, S, Z, X, F, T, and pretty much the keys that just surround those movement keys. So it'll be easiest for me to move my fingers from my movement keys to the abilities. Now, it's going to be pretty pointless for me to go over and explain why I have V as Turn Evil instead of T, and why I have T as Hodge instead of F, because these are really just personal preferences that I picked up while playing the game for 6 or 7 years. The key bindings that are comfortable to me are not going to be comfortable to you. So I really, really suggest that you pick up your own key bindings, you learn how to play with your own style, and you can use the tips that I've given you, such as, grouping certain ability types together, or duplicating Hodge, or, any other cooldown that you want to keep track of, and use those tips and learn your own style of key binding, because your key binding is really unique to you, and you don't want to copy someone else's style of key binding because you may just not be comfortable playing like that. Thank you guys so much for watching this guide. I understand keybinding guides are a little awkward, but I did my best for you guys because a lot of you have been asking for a keybinding guide on Twitch and in the comments on past videos. So if you enjoyed it, please subscribe, drop a comment or a like. Make sure you guys follow my Twitch, it's in the description, and also check out Good Gaming as well, it's in the description too. Much love guys, this has been Indy.
Good Gaming, an e-learning and social networking platform built exclusively for gamers and designed to turn you into an esports champion. We give you the tools, resources, and support to game better. Instructional videos and e-learning guides give you access to powerful strategies and the secrets of the pros so you can dominate your opponents. Our exclusive mercenary system gives you access to personalized support or offer your own services to the highest bidder. And compete in exclusive Good Gaming online tournaments to win cash and prizes. What are you waiting for? Become a Good Gaming member today. Good Gaming, revolutionize your game.